very interesting topic, and this is the core of microeconomics, I would say, right? This concept you will be finding everywhere in your day-to-day lives, in the nature, in the stock market, everywhere you will be witnessing law of market, law of demand and supply, and law of equilibrium, right? Now let's start the topic. So, what is supply and what is demand? First of all, we need to understand this thing. Demand is the quantity of goods and services that consumers are willing to buy at different prices, right? So, demand is with respect to the consumers, stakeholder number one, right? Now, supply, the quantity of goods or services that producers are willing to sell at different prices. So supply is with respect to the producers. Now, it means there are two stakeholders. One who is pulling, the consumer who is demanding the stuff. Another, the supply, the producers who are supplying things. So there should be a relation amongst both of them. Only then it will be an equilibrium, right? So today we are going to understand what is demand, what is law of demand, what is supply, and what is law of supply. I hope this is clear to everybody. So this concept is fundamental of economics, and this concepts will be helping you to decide the pricing, the production, and the resource allocation for any producer. Means how much to produce, at what price to produce, and when to produce. So this is very important for a producer point of view. I hope this is clear to everybody. Now, what is law of demand? Guys, these things, this law of demand, law of supply, you will be witnessing in your day-to-day lives as well. All right. Now, as the price increases or the price decreases or there is any change in price, the people who are buying any commodity and services, they also change. The quantity demanded also changes. So as the price decreases, the quantity demanded will increase or vice versa, right? But I want to say, if the price of a product goes down, more and more people will be buying the stuff. If the price goes up, so people will be buying less amount of stuff, right? So this is certis paribus. It means if we keep all other factors as constant. So we are just considering one thing, that is price. So if the price of commodity, if it goes down, right, it means more people may demand that because it will come under their purchasing power, right? Now, demand curve, we are going to just discuss this thing. The slopes, we are going to discuss this thing in the graph itself. So before I come to this thing, let's see the graph, guys. Let's see the graph. This would be the graph. So if the price decreases, the quantity demanded would be more. And if the price is high, right, the quantity demanded would be less. So it is an inverse relationship, guys. So it's an inverse relation. That is why the graph is like this. I hope this is clear to everybody. This is called as law of demand. Means when the price is low, quantity demanded will also be. When the price is high, the quantity demanded will also be very, very low. When the price decreases, more and more quantity would be demanded. I hope this is clear to everybody. Now, there is an inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. As the price of the product increases, the demand also increases, and the vice versa. So if we assume all other factors as constant and keeping the price which is only changing, so this is called as this is the quantity, this is price. So the relationship between the quantity demanding and the price would always be inverse. So price and demand would be having inverse relationship to each other. Now, graphs, we are just going to see the graphs just in a moment. Before that, let's hit the determinants of the demand. What are the factors which changes or which affects the demand, right? So the number one factor is price, as we already discussed. If the price becomes higher or the price becomes lower, it changes the demand, right? So if the price is high, the demand that people would be, demanding would be low. This is called as law of demand, right? Now, income of consumers, absolutely, guys. If you start earning more and more salary, if your purchasing power increases, if your salary increases, you will end up buying more stuff. You just witness yourself when you join a new job, you start giving you buy new clothes, new mobile phone, gifts to your friends or family members. So income is increasing or demand is increasing, right? So if the demand increases of the consumers, the income also increases. That is why recently you might have seen, practically if I tell you, government of India, they cut the income tax rates, up to 12 lakh there will be no income tax. Why? What is the main reason behind that? The economy was going down because the demand was going down, because there was no money supply in the economy. Now what? So increase the money supply, government decrease the tax rate so people have more money to buy. If they will be having more money, they will demand more. So if they will demand more, they will buy more goods. That more goods will motivate the businesses to start new businesses again. So automatically the economy, the country's economy will start going upward. So that is why income of consumers is very important. If this income is highly taxed, if they lose their jobs, demand starts going down, and the entire income goes, entire economy of the country goes down. This is what happened in, when in America people start losing job, they stop buying the product, and that leads to recession. I hope this is clear to everybody. Now, prices of the related goods. This is something very interesting. The example of tea and coffee. Again, this is the most common example in microeconomics. Basically, I know, many of you would be tea lovers and many of you would be coffee lovers. So people who love tea, they will drink tea anyhow, at any much, at any price tea goes up or down, right? So, but the thing is that, guys, in for an example, these are called as substitute goods. So if the price of tea goes up, the demand of tea will go down, but the demand of coffee will increase, because these can substitute each other. For example, if the price of coffee goes up, the people will switch to tea because the prices will be low for that. These goods are called as substitute goods, right? There are complementary goods as well. So in complementary goods, what would happen? If the fuel price or the petrol price have gone up, you will stop using your vehicle, you will stop using your car. Why to pay extra money, right? So whenever the fuel prices goes up, demand of the automobile sector also goes down, because these are complementary good. So one is affecting the demand of other. In both the cases, supplementary goods, substitute goods, as well as the complementary goods. I hope this is clear to everybody. Now, taste and preferences, they keeps on changing with the passage of time, with the new trends. For example, clothing brands, they keep manufacturing new types of clothes, right? So earlier people were not uh, they were not health conscious that much, but as the taste and preferences people changed, and people today after COVID crisis, they have become so much health conscious. They started increasing makhana, foxnut. They started increasing whey protein. So demand of whey protein really went up, right? So people are buying a lot of stuff. So the thing is that it depends upon the preferences and the tastes as well. That keeps changing with the passage of time, right? Expectation of the future prices. Again, very interesting thing. If the prices are expected to rise in future, the demand increases today. During COVID crisis, you might have witnessed this thing, that when everyone started discussing that in future the prices of sanitizers will go up, so there was immense amount of demand that was created in the market. So the people were expecting that in future they will not be getting sanitizers in the market or the masks in the market. So they, today only they started buying. So with an expectation that maybe tomorrow, the prices may really go ceiling high. So that is called as expectation of the future prices. Absolutely, population and demographic. Population means high population means more consumer means more demand. Guys, if I ask you a question on this, why India doesn't face recession? Why America or country like all the countries in Europe, Australia, America, why these countries they face recession and they always risk of facing recession? What is the reason behind that? The main reason behind that is population, guys. India is such a big country. India is such a populous country that we 150 crore people, we have innate demand. So, in these countries like, all the countries of Europe, European countries, USA, or you can say Australia, they have very little population, very less population, guys. Because where once people start losing jobs, the demand immediately falls. Once the demand fall, people stop buying the products and it really impacts the businesses. Whereas in India, the population is so high, even if the economy is slow, economy is stagnating, even then the demand is so high that we don't hit recession. So we don't hit recession. The main reason behind that is our population. So population somewhere is giving us benefit as well, right? Now, what are the things that brings shift in demand? Means that we already discussed. These are the income changes, consumer preferences, prices of substitutes or the complementary goods, expectation of the future prices, and demographics. Now, what is this means? Graphical shift rightwards or leftwards. This is something we are going to discuss right now. Guys, if I make a graph for the law of demand, it would be like this. It would be inversely proportional. So this is price, this is quantity demanded, and this is inversely proportional graph. Now, guys, there are few things that is going to shift this graph. There will be movements in this graph, right? Now, if I would say that there is movement along the demand curve, means along this demand curve, means in the demand side there is a movement. So this movement word whenever comes, it means it is with respect to the price change, keeping all other factors constant. So whenever someone asks you that movement along the demand curve, means demand side movement will only take place when there is change in price, and we are keeping other factors constant, right? Now let's see the downward movement. So this is the downward movement. This is also the movement, right? So how it works is that whenever, guys, the prices of any commodity will fall, see the price is falling over here, so it is increasing the demand. See, so earlier demand was still here. It increased the demand up till here. So it is giving expansion in the demand. There is some expansion taking place, right? So this is called as expansion taking because of the price decrease or fall in the price. I hope this is clear to everybody. In the same case, guys, if the prices went up, earlier price was this, it went up to here, so demand will fall a bit. So earlier demand was here, it came here. So this is a contraction, guys. So my demand contracted. So contraction generally takes place because the prices have gone up. I hope this is clear to everybody. Let's see in a mathematical table over here, guys. So if P is a price, Q is the quantity demanded. So price was 20, right? Price was high. So at that point of time, that quantity demanded was just 100 units were demanded. And there was a fall in the price of 5 rupees. So new price became 15 rupee. The price decreased. So over here, the quantity demanded also increased. So this is what I wanted to say here, right? So what happened? This is a downward movement. And downward movement means it will bring expansion in the demand. I hope this is clear to everybody. So this will bring expansion in the demand. On contrary, this was the price, initial price 20 rupee. That quantity demanded was 100. When the price went up over here, the quantity demanded decreased, right? So it's an upward movement and it is called as contraction. So this is what we discussed over here. So there is contraction taking place. So we can see it in this way as well. We have just constructed these, graphs on the basis of mathematical things, mathematical tables only. So I don't want to confuse you in that, but I just want to give a glimpse that this is how with the price demand shrinks or demand expands. I hope this is clear to everybody. All right. Now, guys, the demand was from the side of consumer, right? But on the contrary, the supply we are going to discuss on the from the point of view of a manufacturer or a producer or a firm. Now it's going to be a bit tricky. I want you to understand it, and it's very important, guys, to understand. As the prices increases, the quantity supplied will also increase, vice versa, or ceteris paribus. What does it means? Keeping all the factors constant, right? If the price change takes place, there is a change in supply. But over here, what is happening, guys? The change is directly proportional. See, it means when the price is increasing, demand is also, the quantity supplied is also increasing. It is having a positive and directly proportional relationship, price and the supply. Now, the main reason behind this, that is very important to understand over here. Sir, what could be the main reason behind it? Why it is directly proportional? Means when the price is increasing, why the supply is also increasing? Now let's see from practical examples over here. You manufactured a pen at 10 rupee, right? And market price of the pen was, no, let's say you manufactured a pen at 8 rupee, and the MRP, this is the cost price, right? This is the MRP, selling price. Selling price was 10 rupee. All right, I hope this is clear. Now, with the passage of time, what happened that the cost price remained same, 8 rupee, but the selling price became 15 rupee. The price is increased, so you will make more profit where? Over here, the profit you were making was 2 rupee. Over here, the profit you will be making is 7 rupee. Where is the more profit, guys? Over here, margins are more. So where would you like to sell your product? Over here at 2 rupee profit or over here at 7 rupee? So being a seller, I want you to think from the point of view of seller, not from the point of view of consumer, guys. It's very important. Now you are a businessman who is producing the things. Now the cost price is same, keeping all the things constant, right? The selling price is getting increased, so you would love to sell your product over here when the prices in the market are more, right? So it will increase the profits, guys. For a company, it will increase the profit. So that is why now I hope you got the answer of one more question, that during inflation, the profits of the companies also increase. Why it could be so? Means why inflation is bad for consumer, right? Now if I take myself as consumer, if I used to eat rice, 1 kg rice at 50 rupee earlier, now that same rice is costing me 70 rupee. So being a consumer, it's not good for me. Means I have to pay more. But just imagine yourself from the point of view of a manufacturer. Now this was a pen, right? Earlier the pen was costing, selling price of the pen was 10 rupee. The selling price of the pen was became 15 rupee over here, right? And the cost price, because you manufactured this pen at the same time and you kept it in your inventory. If you sell the same pen after 1 year when the prices went up, but the cost price was low because you manufactured it previous year only, you will make more profits, guys. So this is why the prices are directly proportional to supply. Whenever the prices of the products goes up, companies try to produce more and more so that make more amount of profits. So if I would have been a company owner, I would have been a manufacturer, I would love to sell my product over here. I would sell my product over here at 7 rupee profit margin instead of here. So whenever the prices are low, I will produce, but I will not sell. I will keep it as inventory. I would only sell my product whenever the prices in the market goes up. I hope this is clear to everyone. So supply means, the law of supply is telling, what it is telling you is that whenever the prices increases, the quantity supplied is also increasing. Now, one more concept that you should be knowing in this is that my inventory, My stock is not my supply. Supply is only that thing when I am willing to sell the product. Means today I manufactured 100 units, right? I manufactured 100 units of my product. Out of this 100 unit, I kept 80 units in my inventory, in my storehouse as a stock for future. And I sold only 20 units. So this 20 unit is my supply, not this 80. Remember one thing, supply is that number of units which a producer is willing to sell, not manufactured goods. This 100 is not my supply. This 100 is my manufactured number of units. This 80 is not my supply. This is my inventory, my stock. This 20 is only my supply. I hope this concept is also clear to all of you. All right. Now, guys, supply curve is upward sloping, and that we are going to just discuss in a moment, right? Uh, Law of supply, there is a direct relationship between price and quantity. We discussed this thing. As the price of the product increases, producers are more willing to supply it. Guys, this is very important and very confusing many a times because demand works opposite and supply works directly proportional, right? So this is quantity demanded price. So when we relate each other, so it will be a direct relation, and that is why it's a direct graph. So when the prices increases, the supply also increases in the market. Producers are willing to sell more when the prices are high. Producers are willing to sell less when the prices are low. I hope this is clear to everybody. Now, what are the factors and what are the determinants that affects the supply along with the price itself? So first one is price. I hope it is very obvious that higher the prices motivates more the producers to supply more goods, right? Now, input cost. Guys, for example, in this example which we were discussing, right? So cost price was 8, cost price was 8. What if, guys, if the input cost increases, if the cost of my raw material increases, if this cost price from 8 became 10 or became 12, again, it will affect my profits, right? So expensive raw materials will reduce the supply. It's obvious. Means if the cost, increases, manufacturing cost increases, I have to if I'm producing a good at high price, definitely it's going to affect my end profits as well. I hope this is clear to everybody. So input costs tend to affect the supply. Technology. Guys, technology is very important in all the businesses today. It affects the production. It really increases the production. Better technology improves efficiency and better production and leads to very high supply. If I am producing something from with my hand, right? On contrary, my competitor is using the best machinery in the market, he will win. I can't compete with machines. Machines can work day and night, labor can't. They need rest, they need Saturday Sunday holidays, whereas machines, they can run 24 hours. All they need is power supply, that's it. So technology is very very important. And guys, you will be astonished to see that big pharma companies, big automobile companies, they work 24/7, guys. There are shift basis people work, but machine, they work continuously. Ambuja Cement, they have shut down once a year, only once a year. Just imagine, throughout the year, the entire plants work. And in just once a year, shutdown takes place, that too for 1 or 2 days. Just imagine, machines work continuously, right? Now, next is government policies. Guys, if government increases the tax, it decreases the supply. If government reduces the tax rate, uh, the manufacturing will increase, the supply will increase. So government policies also, it's very important in terms of supply. Now, prices relate to of related goods. For example, if I'm producing coffee, right? Similarly, someone would be producing tea. So if the tea prices goes up, it will affect my coffee. If coffee prices goes up, it will affect the tea prices. So guys, it is quite, these things are quite relatable. The same thing I told you in complementary goods and substitute goods as well. Expectation of the future prices. Guys, if the prices are expected to rise in future, for example, let's come back to this example only. If I am producing a pen at 8 rupee, right? And I am expecting that after 2 years, This pen will, I can sell, I will be able to sell this pen at 15 rupee. I will hoard the pen. Hoard, HOARD. I will keep the pen in my inventory. I will increase my inventory. I will produce a lot number of pens. I will not supply them. I will keep them in my stores, my inventory warehouses. So I will increase my inventory. And when I will sell after 2 years to maximize my profits. So companies do keep an eye on this thing. Means what will be the future expectations. So they produce accordingly. If they think that after 2 years the raw material price can go up, they will produce it today. If they think that after 2 years they will earn more profits, more profit margins out, by selling these things, they will sell after 2 years. So I hope you're getting the point. So expectation of the future prices also play a very important role over here. Number of sellers. Very simple. If I am the only seller, right, I am producing 100 pens, manufacturing 100 pens. Similar, there are 10 different sellers. They will be selling, 100 each. Someone could be higher, someone could be lesser. So the number of pens are increasing, the production is increasing. That production increase will increase the supply. So more number of sellers, more number of supply in the market. I hope this is clear. So if I summarize, what shifts the supply? Input cost, technology, number of sellers, taxes, natural events, COVID crisis. What best example I can give you, right? Now then let's see the graphical representation on this, guys, how it works, right? So this is a graphical representation for the supply. It is quite same with whatever we discussed in the demand part, but let's see over here, guys. Shift in the where it went. So, guys, this was shift in the demand, rightward and leftward. So, I hope this is clear to everybody. We discussed this thing. Whenever the shift takes place, shift in the demand curves takes place because of other factors keeping price constant. So, whenever we are discussing about movement, we are only considering price. And whenever we are discussing shift in the demand curve, we are discussing all the other factors except price. All other factors like substitute goods, complementary goods, income of consumers, seasons, and weather that we already discussed, right? So whenever there is a shift rightward in the demand curve, we are discussing the demand as well. So it means there is increase in the demand due to the favorable factors at the same price. So shift means the price is we have kept the price constant. Whenever there is a leftward shift in the demand curve, it is the decrease in the demand due to the unfavorable change in the factors at again same price. I hope this is clear to everybody. Now the same concept would be applicable in the supply part. Now let's see how it works, guys. Let's see the movement first, guys. So as I told you in the demand part, movement in the supply curve is because of price change, keeping all other factors constant. Let's see. If the price is 4 rupee, I being a being a producer, I am supplying 10 number of items. If the price increased for me, I will supply more number of goods, right? So this is the graph for this. So earlier I was supplying this number of goods at the low price. Afterward, what happened? Price increased, so I increased the supply as well. So there is a movement in the supply part. So there is an upward movement. So it is an expansion. So it is expanding from here. We went to here. So this is called as expansion in the supply, right? Similarly, let's take the contraction example as an example. This was the price 15 rupee. I was producing 150. I was supplying 150 items, 150 units. The supply went down. Now my supply it shrinked. So this is what happened in contraction. There is a shrinkage. Earlier I was supplying this much amount of items. The price came low, and now it's a shrink. So there is a downward movement, guys, over here. I hope this is clear to everybody. It's a very important concept, guys. We need to understand a difference between shift and the movement. Movement is because of price change. Now shift in the supply curve is because of other factors. And when we keep this price constant over here. Now let's see in the table first. So price is 15 and price is 15 again. So it means in both the cases, price is constant. Nothing happened in the price. There is no change in the price. But why there is change in the supply? It could be any other factor. Factor could be like price of other goods, price of inputs, state of technology, government policies, all the determinants of supply. If there is change in the determinants of supply, for example, earlier it was 50, it increased to 75, means supply increased, keeping the price as constant. So there is an increase in the supply, it means it is increasing in the supply. So all the factors are favoring my supply, favoring the producers. I hope this is clear to everybody. But if something wrong happens in the market, price is still the constant, but the all other factors they are going against me, right? For example, price was 15, price was 15, right? In both the cases, but the supply was earlier 75 higher, then it decreased leftward. So there is a movement towards leftward. It's a shrinkage. It's a negative thing. So over here you can see the prices are constant, but other factors are affecting my supply. This is called as shift along the supply curve. So always remember this thing, in both demand and supply, there would be one movement and shift. Movement would be because of price change and shift would be because of other factors. So this is something we just discussed, down movement along the demand curve. Then it was shift in the demand curve. Then same thing we implemented here, movement along the supply curve and shift along the supply curve. I hope this is clear to everybody. So we just discussed this thing, means graphical representation, shifts, leftward shift and the rightward shift. I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, now let's proceed further. The market equilibrium. So before I proceed further, I want you to visualize things, few things, right? You might have heard news in stock market, right? That stock market crashed, stock market went up, stock market is correcting itself. You might have heard this thing. Before we discuss stock market, and I want you all of you to understand and how and why the prices of stocks go up. Means you might have seen stock prices. Sometime it goes up, some down, up, down. This is how. Let's see. This is for Reliance, for example, right? 2000, 1900, again 2000 for a day, or maybe for a week, or even for a month. So it is always fluctuating. Why it is fluctuating? Because stock market also works on the criteria of demand and supply. I hope this is clear to everybody. Now you might have heard this thing that stock market is correcting itself. Stock market crashed because the sellers were more. Stock market went up because it is bullish. Buyers are more. Why? Because the thing is there is balance, always a balance taking place. Automatic balance, that is being made over here. Now, over here, there is one very important thing that comes into play. Markets takes its own course. Market corrects itself. This is called as market equilibrium. Sometimes, you might have played that game. These are two people. You should watch our series in equity research, guys. That is also equally important. The tug of war. If this is a buyer, this is a seller, and this is a buyer, they both are pulling a rope. If the seller will increase, market will crash. If the buyers will win, market will go up. So there's a constant war going on between all of them, right? This is called as market equilibrium. Market, keeps going up and down, up and down. It tries to manage come in between, right? So it is a point where quantity demanded equals to quantity supplied. Buyers equal to sellers, for example, in stock market. Equilibrium of price and equilibrium quantity. Price which the market becomes tries to adjust itself, right? So if there is a surplus, so excess of supply leads to price decrease. Shortage, excess of demand leads to price increase. So what happens over here? It's a cross like this, supply and demand curve. Why it's a cross? Because supply is directly proportional graph, demand is inversely proportional graph. There is a point in between. Markets tend to work in a way that they come to equilibrium always. They would tend to come in equilibrium. Now, for this, I want you to, I want you to, I want you to give you a term that is called as laissez-faire. Guys, if there is no involvement of government, right? If there is no involvement of the government, for example, in capitalist countries, laissez-faire means open market, no involvement of the government over here. Market regulate itself, means if the demand will increase, prices will go up automatically. If the demands goes down, prices will also go down. Similarly, if the supply increases and it keeps on increasing, the prices will start going down. So it is the continuous process that keeps on going. Demand, supply, demand, supply. It is continuous playing. So equilibrium, it's just like that. If I tell you homeostasis in the body, or if I give you one more example over here, the practical examples. You might have heard hard stories of engineers. I'm also an engineer. When I was doing engineering, guys, there were very few colleges. There were very few engineers in the market. Once I completed engineering, and after a few years of that, I got to know that only in Tamil Nadu there are 800 colleges. Just imagine, throughout the India there were so many engineering college. Now, what happened over here, guys? The supply of engineers went really very very high, and because of the demand was not high, and many of people they got unemployed. Same case happened with the people of arts background. The people who are studying arts so high that they don't have the jobs. Jobs are there, but people are more than the jobs. So guys, just see, it is equilibrium that is taking place. Now people stopped doing engineering, so it is coming back to equilibrium. Now, less people would be there, so number of jobs will be stable, so people will be getting the jobs. I hope I'm getting the point. It is a long process. Once, for example, government jobs, the best example, the recent example that I can give you, there are very few number of seats, and there's so many people who wants to do government job. Now what happened, few of them may get, but not all of them. Now, soon a time would come when these people will stop demanding government jobs. So again, it will be a balance. It will try to create a balance. So guys, this is a natural event. It happens automatically. If there is no intervention of government, automatically prices will come down, or automatically supply will increase. So this is how, it automatically regulates, market automatically regulates itself only and until when there is no government intervention. This term is called as laissez-faire, right? Now let's give you one more example. I was selling ice cream at very high price, and I was making very good profit, 20 rupee per ice cream, and I was making good, and I was the only company in the market. Other people also saw me. Are he's earning so much profit. Let's start an ice cream company. So you, your friends, and many of your relatives, they also started ice cream companies. And this, and because of this, supply increased in the market. So earlier it was only me. Now you also came. Now you started selling 10 rupee ice cream per ice cream. Now I was selling at 20. Now even I had to bring my price down. So see, with supply, prices also came down. Now, this was a perfect competition, guys. All of us are selling ice creams. Now, if you bring the price at 9, even I have to bring the price around 9. If you quash the price till 5, even I have to bring the price around 6 or 4. So see what is happening over here. Earlier it was only me. So it was my monopoly. I was making good profits, and I was supplying, a lot of supply was taking place, and I was earning good, and demand was also good. But now, many of the suppliers they came, they also started making profits. They thought that it's a good idea to earn more profit, right? So they also started producing ice creams. Automatically, the supply increased, the demand went down. So prices also came down. Further, it came down. So it is called as perfect competition, guys. So this is a ongoing process. High demand will, increase the supply. If I demand is very high, more companies will come in. They will produce more. They will earn more profit. More and more companies will start coming. They will also start producing the same thing. The supply will increase. The demand will also decrease. Now prices will also keep coming down. So it's a cyclical process. I hope you are getting the point. High demand will bring more supply. More supply means more companies. Now more companies, they will earn more profit initially. They will supply more. But after that, because of high supply, the demand will go down. The prices will also go down. So it's a loop. It keeps on working like this. I hope this is clear to everybody. Now, elasticity of demand. Though we had discussed this thing in the previous module, I want you to see that thing, but I would like to give you an example for this. So if something is changing with price a lot, that is called as highly elastic. Elastic means change. If something is elastic, it means changing, right? So if the the formula of elasticity, according to the formula of elasticity, if it is greater than one, it is highly elastic. It means a 1 rupee price change can bring huge change in the demand. Similarly, demand and supply in both the cases, right? Inelastic, less than one, means even if there is change in the price, people will anyhow buy the things, like medicines, like other examples, right? Like salt, necessity things. Unit elasticity means there is directly proportional. Means a small change in the price will bring equivalent change in the demand as well. So this is applicable in both demand and supply. For this, we had a different video. I want you to see that for the better understanding. Now, practicals over here, guys. Smartphones. The best example for the Indians is iPhone. Whenever the iPhone price is very high, initially when they are launched, less people buy it. Only rich people buy it because luxury products anyhow doesn't affects with, they don't get affected. Demand of luxury products, they don't get affected with the price change. But people like us, normal people like us, we will wait the prices to come down, and we will buy older iPhones, previous generation iPhone at lower prices. So whenever the prices comes down for the iPhones, that demand increases. As simple as that. Generally, people buy more iPhones during the Diwali sale itself. I myself also purchased iPhone during the Diwali sale. Since from finance background, let the price come down. You know, Uber search prices. Whenever there is a surge in the Uber prices, the fares are quite high at that point of time, right? So people book less number of rides. So whenever demand, this is a cyclical process. Now demand goes down, prices will also come down. Again, this is how it is. It keeps on going. It's a loop basically. Flights, cheaper tickets. During the time when the tickets are cheap, more people will buy. Whenever the tickets become very very high, only during the emergency necessity, only, or people who can afford, that means very rich people, they can buy end moment things. Otherwise people will move to next states. This is how it works. This is for the law of demand. Means price is inversely proportional to demand. I hope this is clear to everybody. Now, law of supply means nothing from the point of view of a producer or a manufacturer. Price increase will increase the supply, or price decrease will decrease the supply, right? Onion prices. Guys, for example, this year onion prices were very high. For example, 200 rupee per kg. Now, farmers would think, let's give you this way. Farmer would think, let's grow the onion next time also. Now they will, sow and grow onion throughout their farms. Next year, because of very high supply of the onions, because everyone was growing onions, the prices of onion will come down. But they will tend to sell more onions because the prices were high. Whenever the prices, how it works basically, guys, onions are produced, right? They will, because onion have long shelf life, they will keep onion in the stores. Once the prices of onion goes up, only then they will sell from these stores to earn more profits. Earlier they were selling at 10 rupee, right? They wait for a good time, 10 rupee. When the prices went 200 rupee, now from 10 rupee to 200 there is huge margin. So they will sell when the prices will go up. The best example, right? Gold prices. More people will sell gold when the prices will go up. As the best example, stock market. When the price is up, sell the stock. Sanitizers, guys, the recent and the best examples. Let me give you a story. When COVID crisis came, it was only me who was producing sanitizers, for an example. And I was selling a single sanitizer, for example, was costing me 100 rupee just at that point of time. But because the demand was so insanely high, I was selling this 100 rupee sanitizer at 200 rupee. Double straight profit margin of 100 rupee. What I did, I produced more and I started selling more and more sanitizers. So again, it's more profit to me. So prices went up. I increased my supply. I hired more number of labor, and I increased my manufacturing, my production so that I can sell more. Other companies, you were also smart people. You also saw me. you also started producing sanitizers. All of you started producing sanitizers. Now, you all are selling sanitizers because prices are very high right now. So you will make a lot of profit. So all the companies at that point of time, Asian Paints, the best example, who is a paint company, they also started manufacturing sanitizer. Just imagine, guys. So what happened? They made insane amount of profits because companies start producing only those products for which the prices are high and profits are high. They made good amount of profits. But slowly and steadily, the supply in the market of sanitizer went very high. See, earlier it was only 1%. Now there are so many people who are producing sanitizers. Now slowly and steadily, COVID crisis also, it settled down a bit. So demand started going down. Now this time demand went down. So supply was very high. So because of very high supply, what happened? People stopped buying the sanitizers. Now the price, if the demand went low, supply was high, the prices also came low. So it's a cyclical process. So companies always keep an eye which sector to produce, to have more profits, so that they just keep an eye where they can earn more profits and where the prices are high right now. Once this prices goes down because of very high supply, they switch their production to a new product. This is how they keep switching from one production to another. So what is the limitation of analysis of demand and supply? Guys, demand and supply play a very important role. Means in terms of how the markets will behave in stock market, how the other markets would behave, what kind of market it is. Is it a monopoly? Is it a competitive market? Or what kind of economy is that? Means it is an open economy, closed economy. What kind of government intervention is there? So all these things can be analyzed from these factors, guys. I hope this is clear to everybody. Now, what is summary we discussed today? What if I conclude, guys? Demand and supply is something which you can see in your day-to-day lives. So always try to see what is the demand. If the demand is very high, the product would be very costly. Once the demand, wait for some time. Once the supply will increase, once the demand will go down, the prices will also come down. This is from the side of consumer. Now, if I tell you you are starting a new business, try to start a business where demands are high, where you can sell more and more products because prices are high. Because until and unless prices are high, you can make more amount of profits. Once so many companies get into that, but it becomes a good competitive market, then you can switch the production, you can switch something else. So this is how all the companies keep an eye where they can make more and more profits, right? So law of demand and law of supply is very important, and equilibrium, it will work in stock market as well. This is the only concept that works in the stock market. You should be aware of this thing. Who is winning, seller or buyer? Is it a bullish market or a bearish market? That thing could also be, you can see these things from here itself. So for policy making, it is very important, right? So I want to ask few questions for you, and this will be your homework. What is a recent market event that you can think of and that comes to your mind that explain whatever I discussed, demand and supply concept? I want you to discuss that thing, think that thing as well. If you would have been starting a new business, what sector you would be working in, seeing the supply part in the mind, right? Now one more question I would like to ask you: how do you think a supply chain disruption can affect the equilibrium prices? What is the role of highways? What is the role of e-commerce in the in supply chain? I want you to think about that. Why government puts so much emphasis on making building infrastructure like highways, infrastructure like cold storage of fruits or vegetables? In America, if I tell you, supply chain is never an issue, because in America they already have good roads, good railways, so supply is never an issue. In India, we have supply chain, uh, you know, supply chain, you can say, problems till now, because we have we have a rural India, we have urban India, we have India where there are very bad roads, supply chain is very disrupted. We have terrains like mountains, like northeast, like northern part of the country, where mountains it's very difficult to build the roads. So if there is no supply, it's very difficult for the businesses to sell their products, right? Whereas in the case of Europe, in the case of America, they already have good roads, so supply is already sorted for them. So I want you that what is a supply chain disruption means? Can supply chain really affect? And the best example of supply chain disruption could be the COVID crisis. Means when China used to supply all the products to the entire world, but because of COVID, the supply chain got disrupted in China. So what was the outcome of that? So can you think of a product highly elastic in demand? Again, for this, I want you to see the previous video and I want you to think highly elastic products in terms of demand, in terms of supply as well.